One of my most asked questions is, if I were to start all over again, how would I do it? What would I change? Why? How would I learn from the mistakes that I've learned in the last 15 years doing $70 million in real estate and trying to do millions of dollars in construction and development and own a drilling business and own a concrete business, all these different businesses? How would I re-replicate all of the information I learned and actually go put it into effect? And there's really 10 things that you need to know from all my mistakes in the last 15 years that I think put a jump start on what you can do. If you don't know who I am, I'm Mark Kuhn. I have about 50 employees today in multiple businesses, anything from concrete contracting to commercial development, doing multifamily and storage projects around the country. So let's get into this video. I really want to give you the top 10 things that I've learned. I think that you can jumpstart your business. Maybe you're just a W-2 employee trying to break through. I think these 10 points will hit home for you. So let's get into it. All right, so here's the number one point. I tell most people that are starting out, don't diversify. Don't put yourself in a position where you're spreading yourself thin. You don't have enough money to spread yourself thin. Don't go invest in crypto and do stocks and do bonds and go buy some real estate and do business. Just try to figure out your lane. Remember, mine was a concrete business. I was solely focused on just that concrete business for 5 years to get my head above water, to be able to have enough capital to keep going. I think I see too many people, they veer this way, then they veer that way, then the economy shifts, and then they watch the news, and that's not a good idea. These things are made so you keep switching, so the top guys that are getting the most wealthy are getting wealthy in that niche. So just remember, keep the line. Don't diversify, get really good at something. You could be working for somebody, and sometimes working for somebody is a faster way in those 5 years to just learn. You're gonna learn from them, being around them. You're gonna learn how they think. You're gonna learn how they talk. You're gonna learn what they do. That can be their biggest step to all of a sudden jump into your own world, owning your own business, which can be the dream, but just understand, don't diversify, stick the path, hit it hard. So number two, you really want to eat shit for 5 years. You have to. I rated it in the first point that you have to do something for 5 years. You're literally gonna have don't be worried about expensive cars. Don't be worried about buying a house. Don't be worried about anything. Do it for 5 years. That's enough time for your skills to become this much more elevated. You're gonna be that much more skillful working around somebody or working for yourself. You have to keep your head down and focused every day. That 5-year consistency is why only 1% actually achieve that. The third thing that you have to know is you have to reach up bigger than you think you even can. And what I mean by that, I was in the concrete industry. I thought, instead of pouring grandma's patio for $5,000, I thought doing commercial construction, and we have a whole football field of concrete here. I thought that's where the money was at. And while that's what you want to grow up to, and that's what you get excited about growing, right? And doing bigger jobs and doing bigger things, you really want to understand that reaching up bigger to the top is sometimes the best way to go, because it's just as hard to do this concrete job as sometimes it can be grandma's patio. Grandma can beat you up at times. And maybe in the commercial world, you just have a general contractor that's beating you up. I'm relating this to the construction world, but maybe relate this to the Boston Celtics owner. There's an owner who was just had a normal office job. He wanted to buy the Boston Celtics. How the hell are you gonna buy the Boston Celtics? You have an office job, you make 100 grand a year. He put together all the capital, and he went to that owner and said, I'm gonna buy the Boston Celtics for $360 million. This guy didn't have a dollar in his pocket. And you can look up this story, but he ended up thinking big. He reached for the very tippy top, and guess what? He pulled enough money together and he had 20% ownership of the Boston Celtics. He just sold, I think, 5 years ago to another owner. So just telling you, reach much bigger than you can think. That way, it just pays. Whether you're gonna take on some risk or a little bit of risk, if you're young, you should be taking on all the risks that you can. So that way one day you'll have the benefits of that in 5 to 10 years. Number 4, whatever is easy to buy is usually hard to sell. Anything that's hard to buy is easy to sell. What I mean by that, if you're going to buy a trailer house and rent it out for $5,000 or $5,000 and rent it out for whatever, $500, that may seem great. But what happens if you want to go to sell that trailer, right? It's very easy to buy. You can buy anything very easily. Just understand, when you're in business, anytime it's easy to buy something, it's always harder to sell it. Number 5, if you want to be rich, you want to be wealthy one day, whatever, that's great. But learn and understand the game of Monopoly. It's about not always being the renter and not always paying the taxes. You want to avoid those things, right? Try to gain equity, ownership. Equity is the most important thing you can get. Sometimes equity doesn't make sense. If you buy equity and say it doesn't cash flow for 5 years, are you an idiot? No. But you know, if it's negatively cash flowing for 10 grand a year, but it's worth $5 million at the end of year 5, are you the idiot, right? And so the financial people, the CFOs of the world will tell you that's not a good investment, but they don't understand the equity game. They're understanding the risk mitigation game. Don't go for risk mitigation when you're young. If you want to get wealthy, you have to understand that if you go and buy a business for 20 grand today and you lose 10 grand a year, but at the end of year 5, it's worth 5 million, a million, whatever, are you really the idiot now? Not likely. So, all right, number 6, you want to learn how to make money while you sleep. Now, this isn't just buying stocks. This isn't, you know, just buying a business. I remember how excited I was to get into my own business when I was doing concrete. But what I realized is I was doing all the work. I was not sleeping heartily. Had anxiety, was drinking 17 coffees a day to stay alive. You know, the typical business owner. We get into business to think it's fun, exciting, to control our own time, whatever, when in reality, what you want, you have a liability. If you die, you pass away, whatever, you're not around, is that business gonna survive? Probably not. Is that, you know, but you wanna figure out how to make money in your sleep. How can you go on vacation for a month? Is your business going to be in the same shape? Is it going to be, are you going to have real estate that's working for you? You know, what the things that you don't even need to touch that is actually making money for you. Those are called assets. Liabilities are the businesses that revolve around you. You buying yourself a job, don't get to that point. That's why you have leadership teams. That's why there's things like EOS that would implement my businesses. And that's why I have real estate. I don't do the management. I'm an investor. I try not to manage things. I try to let others manage, and I act like an investor. So get to that point, understand, make money while you sleep means go away for a month. Can all your assets live without you? If not, it might be a liability. You should double check. All right, number 7, you need to understand that real estate, if you're going to buy it, and I know a lot of people follow me for real estate, is understand that it's going to take at least 5, if not 10 years. That's why they always say you make money when you buy, because even if you buy under a property that's for $400,000, that's worth $500,000 today, well, guess what? In 10 years, is that property maybe worth $1 million? Is it worth double that, right? And so that's why you always say you make money when you buy. Now you have to understand that buying that real estate, unless you're in the flipping game and see things in 90-day, 1-year windows, don't do that if in your real estate. You're gonna be really bummed about it because you may not even cash flow for 3 years. But guess what? On year 5, 6, and 7, you might be cash flowing like crazy. So you don't look so dumb after all. But anyway, understand that you have to understand the decade game usually in real estate. It's gonna take you 10 years, but if you're 50 now and you wanna be financially free when you're 60, start dipping your toes in real estate, and I promise you, you'll be grateful you did. Number 8, you hear this all the time, but the riches are certainly in the niches. You don't want to just get good at a broad thing like real estate. Get into the medical real estate game, get into the industrial, get into the storage game behind me. Understand that one area really freaking well. When you get so good at it that it's like, hey, I can do this all day and all year long, then maybe go venture into something else. Usually I've been doing things, usually it takes me about 5 years. I've been doing storage really heavily for 5 years. I understand it now. I understand the business. I collaborate with the best in the country that operate it. And we're always working on it. But you know what? At some point, I'm gonna need to get excited about building an industrial building like this one over here, you know, a different asset class, or maybe it's multifamily, whatever that is, right? And so understand though, the riches are in specific niches. Don't diversify again, right? Try to stay the course, stick into something until you know it and you're the best at it. Number 9, I actually heard this one from Grant Cardone, but it's funny because he bags on it a lot of different things. But what you end up hating today will be what you become in the future. Grant Cardone I always remember him. He always hated stocks, right? Because he's the real estate guy. Okay, that's fine. Well, what is he doing today? He's now moving from real estate and putting them into stocks, making his entire real estate portfolio similar to a REIT, right? That you can go and buy stocks in as real estate. And he bagged on stocks for years, but anyway, it's like the coffee shop and then that hates smoothie shops, right? Well, what ends up happening? The coffee shop starts selling smoothies. What does the smoothie shop do? Well, they start selling coffees. And they might bag on each other, but then all of a sudden, then you end up becoming that. So I always think like I build lots of luxury storage and big units, and I bag on mini storage. But you know what? When big storage is, this is climate controlled luxury storage, when that's busy in the fall, guess what sucks in the spring? That's harder to fill luxury heated storage units because again, it's warm. So that's where mini storage is good. So implementing that into some of your business systems. So anyway, what you end up hating, and maybe it's not hate, maybe it's just what you're opposing to, you end up becoming. All right, number 10, and I'm gonna reiterate this because I've talked about it. I want you to always think if you're going into business, you're going to do real estate, you're gonna do whatever you have to do, I want you to not be the sole person that's gonna take charge. I don't want you to go buy the coffee shop and be the GM and operate everybody. Now you have to do that right out of the gate, but I want you to work towards saying, how do I buy 5 stores and how do I oversee those 5 stores? I want you to think in the path of growth. That means you're gonna have to rely on good people. You're gonna have a leadership team. You're not gonna make all the decisions yourself. But I also think that this will be very helpful when you think about in business, because anyone that's excited about in business is like, hey, I'm gonna quit my job doing this and I'm gonna go open a business doing that. And then it's like, well, that's like a 2-person company and I'm gonna go spray weeds on people's lawns and I'm gonna run everything. I'm gonna do everything myself. You're gonna end up working more. You're gonna replace your 9 to 5, maybe making the same amount. Now you're gonna work 5 to 9. You may own your own pickup and your spray thing, but it may be harder for you to make money. So understand, try to figure out when you start out, it's how to build a leadership team, how to manage people. That's what the whole thing is about. I don't try to do everything myself. I try to master, delegate everything to people. That way I can stay focused on what I'm trying to build and not trying to focus on the day-to-day activities. The more you can think about that, the more you're gonna try and advance in your career. But that's how I'm gonna wrap up. I think if you can share this with somebody that can use this kind of information, I think anyone from college to, like I said, a 50-year-old who's trying to get into real estate, anyone can use this information. This is how you fast forward your life. Appreciate you. See you in the next one.